everyone, welcome back to A Wild Approach. My name is Macy Lou, and I'm here today to discuss my approach to gardening. I don't see my approach discussed a whole lot in the broader scope of gardening YouTube, and so I thought I'd share my philosophy and why I do it the way that I do. I hope you can take this as just one way to do a garden and not as me trying to tell you it is the only way. There are many ways to create a garden. This video is for folks who may not know about this method of gardening but are curious about it, even if they don't end up adopting the practice in their own garden. And as you know, this channel is called A Wild Approach, and so I just call this style of gardening a wild approach to gardening. So if you know, you know, but you will know soon if you continue to watch this video. The way I garden is not just one start to finish method, but instead a group of different methods and systems that led me to where I am today, where the garden is today. However, this video is not about those individual systems and garden tasks per se. This video is instead about garden goals, philosophy, and how I achieve these goals. Okay, so to start this off, you need to understand that the garden itself here at Swallowtail Lodge is a result of years of work, not only on my part, but on the part of both friends and family members as well, and neighbors. There are many ways to start a garden, and this garden is not about that. I've done it in many different ways, in many different sections of my garden. Instead, this video is more about the maintenance after the fact. So what is my philosophy and my maintenance practice? First of all, I stopped obsessing over perfection. Perfection may not even exist, I'm not sure, but it doesn't really matter because obsessing over perfection, whether it exists or not, can hinder the progress of the garden. What's more important is the overall goal of the gardener. What is your goal? Let me know in the comments down below. To start, I need to tell you all my goals for my garden. I have more than one goal which inform my decisions. One of my goals, and arguably the primary goal, is to create habitat for wildlife. This is a very simplified statement and it's an easy goal to achieve, really. Another goal I have is to make the space feel both natural and also slightly human touched. What I mean by this is I want the garden to feel more on the natural side, but I want there to be evidence of human touch here and there. Basically, I want to set it apart from a completely wild, untouched piece of land that might have both native and invasive things mixed in and might not really seem to have much of a rhyme or reason for where things are, growing. I kind of want to do something a little bit different than that, but also not do the hyper-controlled, hyper-cultivated, obvious human garden, if that makes sense. These two are my main overarching goals and why I do things the way that I do them. Hey guys, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Please don't forget to hit the like button if you are enjoying this content so that I can know what videos you all like the best. Do you need a short, quick guide to get started in wildlife gardening? Well, turns out I've got just the thing. I just came out with a new free ebook just for you, and it's called A Wild Approach to Gardening 101, and it's available on my website today at macylou.com/shop. It's free, so go check it out. What do you have to lose? I definitely have more mini goals, but they often fit within one of these two goals somehow. So I consider them the mother and father of all the other goals that I have here. You could even put growing food within the second goal because growing food for people automatically lends itself to evidence of human touch on the garden. You could think of my garden as being somewhere between the wild natural landscape and the stewarded one. I've planted many of the plants here, but I've also let some things grow on their own. Volunteers that just showed up to the party. I do not want my garden to look like it's only wild nor only cultivated by human hands. I want it to live somewhere in between those two things, but leaning a lot more heavily toward the wild end of the spectrum, which is important when you hear the rest of this video. I hope I've explained myself well, and if I have, let me know in the comments before we go to the next section of the video, which will be me explaining how I achieve this theme and therefore my goals. First of all, when I plant things, I don't just plop them, at random. It can look that way from the outside, but I do have a somewhat rough idea of what I want to achieve, and I choose placements accordingly. I don't usually have a very strict and rigid garden design layout that I'm going off of, but I do have a rough idea in my mind's eye of what I want things to look like. For example, I often plant things based on the infrastructure that already exists. I keep an eye on the power lines overhead, the house's facade, the location of paths and fencing, and things like this. I try to plant most of the trees on the southwest corner of the front garden, for one thing. This is because the power lines are on the east end of the garden, and that area needs to have shorter trees and shrubs, or even just herbaceous perennials, so that the plants won't interfere with the power lines. On the southwest section, I can plant my taller trees like the black cherry and oak trees and things because there are no power lines to worry about overhead. Naturally, this told me exactly what places I could choose for my pond. So I chose one of those spots closest to the outer eastern edge of the garden, just feet from the power lines. Ponds are typically sited away from large trees, so this just made sense. When I choose new places for trees, I'm always thinking about how large they can get and where that means they should be placed. I also think about future garden changes and how I may replace one tree with another in the future if I need to, and that informs where I plant the new trees. Another thing you've probably heard over and over again is right plant, right place. This is true, but don't get too scared to just plant something. If something doesn't work, yes, the plant may die, but we have to overcome the fear of killing a plant. What we should focus on instead is trying to get it in the right place, but also not feeling bad if we were wrong. It's okay, just move on and keep planting things and experimenting. One of the biggest changes I've made to my philosophy over the last few years is I no longer obsess over weeds. I used to get bent out of shape over Bermuda grass, for example, which is the primary lawn grass in my neighborhood. It's annoying, it's invasive, and ugly as hell. But I stopped obsessing over it. I used many methods to kill it and replace it, and what I've now landed on is I don't need to eradicate it. I just need to keep planting native plants, keep removing the Bermuda when it's too prolific in a given area, and keep replacing it over and over with native plants. I let native plants go to seed, which also helps the cause. This is because new volunteer native plants popping up can help push back or suppress the non-native grasses substantially. There are areas where Bermuda takes hold, but it's nothing compared to when I first started out. I have problem areas here and there, maybe near the water spigot in the raised bed, maybe near the garage wall, places like that where I have not planted natives right up to the house or garage walls. Bermuda obviously will fill the niche. So until I decide to try and plant appropriate native ground covers up against my walls, the Bermuda will grow there. That's just how it is. To gradually, less painfully get rid of Bermuda as much as possible, plant very prolific native plants and let them self-sow. It's so helpful, especially if you're into this more wild style of garden design. Obviously, if you are a formal garden type person, most of this video is not going to apply to you, but I hope I made that clear way earlier in the video. Before you know it, you'll not necessarily be rid of Bermuda grass, but the Bermuda grass you do have will either be weak and spotty, or it will be hard to even see beneath the native plants. Most native flowers are tough and have either thick stems, deep roots, or both. And they can compete for resources very well against these annoying invasive lawn grasses. Trust me. It just takes time, patience, and persistence. Rather than obsess over every single weed, I instead focus on removing weeds in new garden spaces. If it's a new garden space that's only been around a year or two, I work harder in that area. I watch it more. I pull weeds in it more. And I do that more than in the other areas. Sometimes I don't even pull weeds in the other areas. It depends on what the garden space is. Like what plants are in that spot. Is it a lot of native plants? Are they doing their job? Are they suppressing the weeds? What do we got going on? As you get better at this system, you'll notice you figure out which garden spaces become more self-sustaining and which ones still need you to maintain them more. That will also help you decide what plants are worth planting in your garden and what plants don't really do the job. Again, right plant, right place, but sometimes you have to plant something in the wrong place to learn what the right place is, even when you're doing your research online. The thing is, and I kind of get into that now, the thing is, if you've picked the right plants for each area of your garden, it will be easier and the respective garden sections will be more self-sufficient faster. One strategy for this is to garden in layers. If we build a garden bed with the idea of layers in mind, this means maybe we choose a native tree to anchor the garden space, such as a keystone like a native oak or cherry species tree. Then around that tree, we could put either site-appropriate shrubs or equally appropriate herbaceous perennials. Or of course both. The more variety you have and the more you use the layers, the more success you may also find for yourself in your own gardens. This is because not only will a larger variety of plants mean a more diversity of root systems, but it also means each layer performs its own purpose in the habitat. The larger trees provide nesting sites, leaf clutter if the trees are deciduous, shade, and larval food, especially if they are keystone species. The smaller trees and the shrubs, this layer can provide a lot of the same services as the larger trees, but at a smaller scale and with a smaller canopy. Then the herbaceous perennials can provide nectar, bee nesting materials, ground protection, and larval food as well. Now you can see how so many different methods can help us achieve the wildlife habitat goal, but you may be wondering how to achieve the human touch goal that I mentioned. This is pretty easy and there are many ways to do this. One way is to create little nooks and crannies in your garden where you can retreat to. Maybe it's a patio, or maybe it's a cozy spot in a more shady area of your garden. Maybe it's simply adding a bench to a pathway so you can sit and read a book. It also looks like arbors and trellises and pots of flowers and tables and chairs. It's in the design of the fencing, if you have it, the gates that lead into the garden, and the furniture that you choose. All of these elements can add a human touch to your garden. But just like those more obvious elements, you can also add a human touch with the way that you plant things. How you arrange your plants and how you create garden rooms can also convey that a human was here. You can also prune your trees or shrubs in such a way that it shows a human was in the garden and was making decisions. There are also practical reasons to prune, but you can also use the pruned branches to create habitat brush piles. You can place these in darker corners of the garden where there's a little bit more shade and protection. Be mindful though, the black widows love that habitat, so if you ever want to move the wood, wear gloves. In conclusion, I have a very relaxed gardening approach these days. I don't obsess over getting all the weeds. Instead, I focus on what is growing well. What's prolific? What native plants are easy? Which invasive plants do I need to rip out next? I remove the largest invasive plants first. I do the best I can when I can do it. I used to worry a lot about every little garden corner, and now I don't anymore. Most of my back garden is a very loose planting. Instead of trying to remove the lawn first back there, I mostly just planted things into the lawn. It's not as lush back there, but it is growing. It's still blooming and it's still providing food for wildlife. I let the volunteer asters and goldenrods grow. They are keystone species after all. Combine all these things together and you get a mix of wild garden and human hand. I think of it as a collaboration with Mother Nature. Collaboration is much easier than doing it all on your own. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. Don't forget to leave a comment about this gardening style in the comment section down below. I want to hear your thoughts on all of this. So what's your favorite garden style in general? And why? Why is it your favorite? Thanks to everyone who takes time to watch these videos. It means a lot to me. I see you. I love that you guys leave me comments and you talk with me about gardening, about native plants, and about your passion for these things. I really love interacting with you guys down there. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for being here. Bye! Hi guys, cutting in here real quick to let you know that I have a new feature on my channel, and it is the join button. If you click the join button, there are going to be two options for you to choose from. You can choose to be a part of the Cozy Cottage group for $2.99 a month, which would give you the loyalty badges, emoji, and early access to all of my new videos. Or you can choose Secret Sanctuary for $9.99 a month, and this includes everything else I already mentioned in the $2.99 plus members-only live streams. So if we get some members in the Secret Sanctuary, I will have special members-only live streams. So thank you guys for considering it. Whether or not you can, I appreciate you very, very much. In celebration of spooky season, I've designed a brand new shirt called Night Watch, which features the owl that showed up to our garden just a few weeks ago for the very first time. I think this is a great shirt for the Halloween and autumn season, and I hope you guys do too. Check it out at my link in the description. Hey guys, don't forget to follow me on Blue Sky and Instagram. These are the two best social media accounts other than YouTube where you can find me and you can see me post photos of the garden, thoughts on wildlife, and more. So don't forget to follow me over there. To support the channel, like the video, comment, and subscribe. You can also support my work by buying art from me at macylou.com. Thanks for watching!